Hello everyone, thanks for joining me back on StubbleMeetsSteel. Well, before I send off this proof razor that my buddy was so kindly loaning to me, I wanted to compare it to one other razor. This is the Supply SE, and I feel that while both of these razors might be a little bit different money-wise, that they kind of both are in that same category of maybe advertising to newer shavers that are coming from cartridges and looking for just like a super easy razor that they can just throw a blade in and shave like they're used to without the expense of a cartridge razor. And so that was what I was kind of, my thoughts were anyways. I know that Supply, obviously, they have the adjustables, the Supply Pro. They don't have that anymore. They have the new one, the Supply Max, which also does have a pivot head and takes an injector blade. So this is what's called an injector razor. I already had these loaded up, otherwise I would have shown, but that's common stuff that you can find at other places. This has a Gillette Silver Blue, half of a blade that I snapped in there, and this just uses magnets on the top. You pull that off and just stick the blade on there, and then this obviously is just injector loaded. So I've got them all loaded up with blades here. For today's software soap, I've got my basic bitch favorite. This is Sterling's Pumpkin Spice. For me, this is a really great fall autumn scent. I like the pumpkin that it has in it, but it's kind of also heavy in not only the spicy notes, but the caramel, and that's what I really kind of like about it. It was a little bit overcast and raining here today, so I thought it kind of fit the bill. I've got it loaded up in my beehive brush. This is a Razor Rock beehive, 28mm synthetic. Nice lather going here. That'll do, but let's have some fun. Let's put a little more water in there. The proof razor in particular does seem to like a thinner, more watered down lather, so let's make sure we're well hydrated today. I'll put links to the other videos, but I've compared this proof razor now to the Leaf Thorn. I also just compared it to the One Blade, the Element, or as this model that I have is called the Ridge, because it was made by that Ridge wallet company in collab with the One Blade. And now I'm comparing it to the Supply SE. Let's get going here. So let's see here. I'll do the Supply on this side of my face. The proof does have good efficiency for how low blade feel it is. I will say that. You do have to push and use pressure to get the head to pivot and to get that efficiency out of it. But I feel it's more of a natural autopilot transition for people coming from a cartridge razor that has that pivot style head. They're used to using pressure. In that regard, it is an easy transition. But if you want to then transition from the proof to a DE, that might be a whole new learning curve for you, because you obviously, as we all know, don't want to use pressure when you're using a DE for the most part. Unless it's a very mild razor with low blade exposure, you can get away with a little bit more pressure. All right, let's get onto the proof side. Or not, I'm sorry, not the proof side, the Supply side. Proof feeling extremely smooth there, almost no blade feel. this is feeling mega mild. If you're familiar with the Supply Pro adjustable, I would say this is under a 3 setting from what it's feeling like to me, like a 2.75 setting on the adjustable Supply Pro. Super duper smooth though. Very easy to find the shaving angle. You just basically lay this flat on the face. This one does have the nick-free guard, or those little teeth. It's not an open comb, but they call it their nick-free guard. The gentleman that loaned this to me, he uses a different plate that doesn't have that nick-free guard on it, but you can't get that one, so I didn't want to use that particular plate for the video. For whatever reason, I guess they don't offer it anymore. I guess at one point they used to. We'll see how efficient this Supply SE is because it's mega, mega smooth. No blade feel at all. Feels like you could do whatever you wanted with it. All right, very nice first pass. I would say the Supply was definitely smoother and less blade feel, but how will it compare efficiency-wise? If I remember, I'll do a check here at the end of the second pass. Versus by the time you get to that third and buffing pass, you're kind of making up the difference just in strokes. Like right here especially, it wants me to use a lot of pressure to get any sort of efficiency out of it. And the soap right there was getting a little bit thick. Let's water it down a little bit. Again, I got it a little clogged up there. As I mentioned in my other videos, this definitely likes a thinner lather. You know, the proof razor seems like it would be more suited for just to shave gel, cheap cans of shaving foam in a can. Seems like it likes that almost better than thicker tallow-based artisan soaps. Let's go ahead and do across the grain, and then we'll check for efficiency. Put some water in this. Try to thin it out a little bit. Or a lot bit. Let's see where we're going here. Oh yeah, now we're nice and slick. That should be plenty hydrated. And just for the heck of it, we'll put another spritz on. Gotta keep rinsing this. It seems like it gets clogged up really easily. And this is just for everyday shaves. So I imagine with a lot of hair, a couple days growth, good luck. But I don't know from experience firsthand. So maybe by some freak chance, it rinses easily and doesn't get all cagged up with hair. But I don't see that, seeing as how it's clogging up with soap. Let's hop over here. Injector razor country. Let's see how we can do here. Yeah, man, this thing is crazy smooth. I will say that. We'll see if it's efficient, though. Feels like you could do whatever you wanted with this thing. Hey, stop scratching. Little dog's over there and scratching himself. Hold on one second. Sorry about that distraction. Had to stop the little dog from scratching himself. He gets bad seasonal allergies. All right, let's wet the face and see how we compare. Feels almost identical. Maybe a tiny bit more on the proof side here than on the supply SE side here. Let's go ahead and finish up with against the grain and see how we finish up on both sides. And then we'll see, can we get BBS cleanup with each, or do we still leave some behind? The proof usually leaves a little tiny bit behind. We'll see how it goes. We'll see if the supply is any more efficient. Sounds like somebody's celebrating 4th of July early, fireworks style. That's about the best I can do with that one. Let's go ahead and hop over to the proof side. See how we do there. Let's see where we finished up at. Feels like the supply got me a little bit closer. Let's see if I can finish up both sides with their respective razors. Hold on. Let's see. Okay, so it leaves a little bit behind on the supply side. Let's see how the proof can do. So both razors leave a tiny bit behind with my particular beard style as far as, coarseness, density. Maybe if you have a very light beard for daily shaves, these razors would get you both, BBS. And again, it's just me being picky. I think it was Matt from the Razor Emporium had a funny analogy. Nobody's taking a card from a deck of cards and, running on your face. Oh, you're not BBS everywhere. But as far as looks wise, obviously you'd pass for a job interview or anything like that, a hot date or something like that. But if you're, a sadistic BBS chaser like myself, you might find that these are a little bit mild. I would say that they're both on the, on a Rockwell 6C or a 6S. For me, these are like a 2.75 plate. They're not quite to Rockwell 3-plate territory, or maybe very close to, but a little more mild. Again, in the Supply brand, I would say that this is more underneath the 3 setting on the adjustable Supply Pro model. I can't vouch for how it compares to the newest one with the pivot head, the Max. I haven't tried that one just yet. So, I do kind of, this is growing on me a little bit, the proof. It is, like I said, it is very reminiscent of using a cartridge razor, but you have to be one that wants to use that pressure. It does cag up very easily with lather for me. I have to really use a thin, runny lather, or like I said, when I had used Cremo with it, worked really well with that. So for like a lightweight travel razor, you're going to be using every day and just kind of want to quickly whip it around and not think about it, use as much pressure as you want, never get a cut or a nick, then this would probably work great for you. But on the, on the flip side, you could easily, use this as well. And I will have to say, for for 60 bucks, half the price of what the supplies are going for. You know, I was quite surprised how well this did, and boy, this has got to be one of the smoothest injector razors I've ever used, including vintage. You know, it was mega smooth to the point where I literally double checked and did a visual when I was lathering up to check to make sure that I had a blade loaded in there, because it was so low blade feel and so smooth. You know, I was questioning whether it was cutting, you know, until I got some audible feedback. So just kind of depends on what you're looking for. As I griped and complained, I don't really love the handle on the proof, but I don't really love it on this one. They made that grip sleeve condom thing that you can get that's like a silicone sleeve that slides on there to offer some grip. I would definitely get one of those if I was you know, keeping this. This one is actually on loan to me as well. You know, in comparison, the proof handle is a little bit better. As I mentioned before in some of the other videos with this, I'm not thrilled about the magnetic design. While the magnets haven't given me any problems or anything, I question long-term how well they'll stay in there. I've had issues with magnets before, whereas the supply is super simple. This one does allow you to actually take it off with this stud thumb, right, or the thumb stud wheel right here. You can just take this off and the lower plate separates, which is nice for an injector razor. You can rinse it out and clean it off. So there's my take on it. I hope you enjoyed the shave and comparison today. And don't forget to check out my info and comment section. And if you're not already a subscriber, go ahead and subscribe. Throw me a like, throw me some love. And go ahead and drop me a comment below if you've used either one of these. I thought that maybe somebody is looking at getting a different razor and they want to try something SE, and they're wondering, is the extra $60 for the proof worth it, or should they just stick with the Supply SE and save the 60 bucks? Well, that's my take on it. If I had to choose, I don't know. I might just go for the Supply SE because it's so simple to load it with a razor, and for, like I said, for just a great travel razor, you're just not looking for 100% BBS, but just something super smooth that's an autopilot razor. I'd have to go with the Supply SE on this one, gentlemen. Well, thanks for watching. I'll talk to you soon.